I'm going to beg your indulgence now. This is an introduction to a longer video, and I really want you to watch it. I'm going to explain to you now why I think you should watch it. You will have seen the video that I published a day or two ago that has gone viral locally. It's had thousands and thousands of plays. It's had hundreds and hundreds of comments, direct messages that I've received, emails from people who have seen that video and are as equally disgusted as I am at the proposal by Surrey Heath Borough Council to sell off community assets, including our little village car park in Deepcut, but also this recreation space that I'm sat at right now. Okay, and it transpires that this decision was made, if we take at face value what the senior politician responsible for this has said. I don't, to be honest with you, believe a word that comes out of her mouth. So this might not be right, but let's take it face value what she said, and that is that this decision has been made by, I'm going to politely call it an obscure committee. Okay, you might call it a secret committee that operates behind closed doors in a smoke-filled room of cross-party politicians who have made this decision, apparently, if you take what she says at face value. Okay, so I took it upon myself to message all the members of the committee, or most of them anyway, members from my own party and others and independents. I've messaged as many of them as I can to say to them, have you agreed, have you voted to sell off community assets like my village car park in Deepcut, or this beautiful recreation space that I'm sat at now? Have you agreed to sell that off? And it's interesting the response that I've received from them, but they've all closed ranks. They're not divulging whether they did agree to it or not, because they're saying, as you well know, Paul, this committee is confidential. I've certainly not seen any minutes to it anywhere. I don't think there's any minutes that have been published anywhere. So we probably never will find out exactly what happened at that committee. But we do know what the outcome is. And I want you to watch this video, because one of the committee members that I messaged this morning, and I got probably a bit angry with him at his response, but he came back and said, Paul, take some deep breaths, go and have a walk or something. Well, I've taken that advice, councillor. I decided I would come here and record this video. So thank you for the inspiration. And let's see what residents have to say about it all. If you're watching this video, there's a very good chance you've already seen the video I published the other day on the sale of our little village car park in Deepcut. You know, Surrey Heath Borough Council own that car park, and they want to make that car park available for sale so that a property developer can come along and build a big block of flats on it, or something else, right? Now, obviously, I'm not happy about that. And clearly, going by the video that I published the other day, which has gone viral locally, it's had thousands and thousands of plays, it's generated hundreds of comments, direct messages, emails, you know, people are up in arms about it. And I was quite surprised actually by some of the people that have emailed me about this, who normally are supporters of the administration at Surrey Heath Borough Council, who are not happy about this either. So if you have emailed me about it, if you have messaged me and I've not responded, I'm ever so sorry, but I've had that many, it's just been impossible to reply to them all, and I haven't had time to reply to them all. I will try and do that. I'm not being rude, it's just, you know, time is a premium and all the rest of it. But yeah, it's gone mad, and at least now they're having a conversation about it. It's quite funny watching them all scurry around like little flipping rats in a sinking ship, to be honest, blaming each other and all the rest of it. They're going on the radio even this morning, going, oh yeah, it was the previous administration and all this rubbish, right? But I decided I was going to email or message members of this, I'm going to call it an obscure committee, right, or obscure working group of the council, That's the polite way of putting it. But other people might call it a secret committee, you know, one of those committees behind closed doors in a smoke-filled room where they make like really, really secret decisions. No one's allowed to know about it. Well, it turns out that that's exactly what happened, and the portfolio holder, the senior politician responsible for all of this, let the cat out of the bag by trying to say, oh, well, you know, it was a cross-party working group, and we all decided it. All political parties were have membership on this working group, and they all made the decision to sell off our little village car park. Well, guess what? Turns out they want to sell this behind me too. This very tiny little oasis of joy in the Heatherside and Parkside Ward. Okay, you'd be forgiven for not knowing it's here, because I didn't know it was here either until all this surfaced on Friday. But let me show you around, because that little obscure working group, it turns out, are not only wanting to sell our car park in Deepcut, but they also want to sell this place. And it's gorgeous. Look at it. Look at these trees, these redwood trees. Look at the size of that tree trunk next to my bike there. That gives you an indication of how big that tree is, right, and how ancient it is. I mean, I'm no expert on these things, but it must be at least several hundred years old. And this space here, there's little tulips or crocuses popping up all over the place. It's absolutely beautiful. The air is clean. It's gorgeous. And I could understand how a property developer might want to buy this and build flats on it, or a big house. Imagine having this as your back garden. It'd be flipping great, wouldn't it? Hey? Look at this. I can see why they do want to sell it. I imagine this would pick up a handsome price. Okay, but there's a few problems with this, and I decided to come down here and show this to you because I think there's a few problems. We think we've got problems in Deepcut over our car park. Well, if you live around here, this is a problem too, because of these trees, these beautiful redwood trees, right? Now, I'm no expert on planning, and I might have got this a little bit wrong, but it's something we ought to get clarified, okay? But there's provision within planning law called exceptional circumstances, right? What that means is there's a few ways that this can be applied, but in the context of these beautiful trees here, you know, the council has basically said, or the administration of the council has said that, you know, they've got financial problems, right? And they might cite those financial problems as exceptional circumstances, which might mean they might be able to chop these trees down. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope someone cleverer than me comes on and goes, oh no, Paul, you've got that wrong. Those trees are sacrosanct. There are no exceptional circumstances that could ever mean that those trees would get chopped down. Well, I'm not convinced, because the Secretary of State, and guess who the Secretary of State is? Angela Rayner, right? She's the Secretary of State, and I think what would happen is that if they needed to quote exceptional circumstances, that would have to be signed off by probably the Secretary of State. And she's already said that you're a NIMBY for wanting to chop trees down or build on the green belt, and that she will approve planning applications like this because they need to build their 1.5 million homes, and you're a NIMBY for not letting them do that, right? And the administration at Surrey Heath Borough Council seem to think that, well, there's an opportunity there, so why don't we sell this off, because the Secretary of State would probably sign off on something like this, right? That's what you've got to be worried about if you like trees. Guess what? If residents got their way and managed to prevent them from chopping down these trees, there are other things that the council, you know, the administration at the council could do with this land. For instance, now, don't shoot the messenger here, but this would make a lovely gypsy traveller site. And considering that the Borough Council has declared they have a chronic shortage of gypsy traveller provision, okay, and because they might not get a development on here through the planning process for whatever reason, then they might have a plan B. And what do you think that plan B might be? Right? Now, I'm ever so sorry if I'm not articulating myself very well. I'm not the most articulate of people. I'm not the most intelligent of people either. So if I've got all that wrong, I'm sorry. But if I'm concerned about it, you should be concerned about it too, and get those questions answered. You know, our MP, that very nice man, is very articulate, okay, and he's very intelligent, far more articulate and intelligent than I am. That's why he's the MP, okay. Now, we've not heard anything from him yet, and I'm sure we will, because we've heard quite a bit from one or two of the sort of executive members at Surrey Heath Borough Council, you know, the senior elected politicians. One or two of them have broken cover already. You know, I had to record a viral video to get them to do that, but okay, fine. They've come out and they've broke cover. Okay, we've not heard anything from the MP. Now, I shared the video that I did the other day on some of the local Facebook groups, and this very smart guy, I do know who he is, I'm not going to say his name, this very smart guy who I know quite well, he knows me, I know him, he gave me a bit of a bollocking, and he was quite right to too. He said to me, do you know what, Paul, I think we're all getting fed up of hearing you all blaming each other and all the rest of it. What we want to hear you doing is getting together, putting your party political differences aside and working through this. Now, we've done this before, remember. We did this with Surrey Heath Prepared. Now, we can do it again. We can fix this problem by getting together. It'll be difficult because, you know, I'm going to be honest, I don't particularly like our MP, and I know he don't like me. The feeling is mutual. Okay, there's history there. Fine. But I'm prepared to put that to one side, work with him and work with some of his councillors to find other ideas. Do you not remember when they took control of Surrey Heath Borough Council? Fair play to them. They won control of that council off the Conservatives. They fought a brilliant campaign, and they had actually some amazing ideas. I was kicking myself. I didn't even have some of these ideas myself. They were really good. One of them was called citizen panels, I think. I think that's what they called it. So, you know, like resident public meetings where they would discuss certain problems and try and work out solutions to them. So it's not just politicians working out solutions to problems, it's members of the community. And I thought that was actually a really, really good idea. But I might have missed it. It might have slipped under my radar, but I don't remember there being any citizen panels to talk about this, to talk about the fact that, you know, they've got some financial pressures and that they want to sell off the land. And I don't remember them presenting that to the community and saying, well, we've got this problem. This is what we think we could do to solve it. What do you think of that? And if it's not a good idea, could you come up with some ideas? I don't remember them doing that. And do you know what? One thing that always impresses me, I've been 14 years as a councillor, and it always impresses me the people I meet who are so clever, so intelligent. They've got some brilliant ideas, some of which I've nicked as my own, right? When I speak to people all the time and they'll say something to me and I'll go, bloody hell, what a great idea. Yeah, why don't we do that? You know, well, we could have done that with this problem, but they didn't think to do that. Instead, they had a working group of cross-party people deciding this without discussing it with anyone in a smoke-filled room, okay? And that is unforgivable. That is unforgivable. And I don't care what party you belong to, even if you're a member of my own party. You know, this is all wrong. we've got to find a different solution, and we've got to involve residents with it. This place here, this beautiful green space, needs to stay as it is. Get your hands off it. Think of something else. You're supposed to be clever people, right? One of the Deepcut councillors thinks he's cleverer than everyone else, right? I call him Lord Lucan, because you've got more chance of actually seeing Lord Lucan in Deepcut than you have of seeing him, right? And he thinks he's cleverer than everyone else. You want to see some of the condescending emails that he has sent to residents who have emailed him about this. What's worse, he's just copied and pasted it, because I get copied on some of the emails that he sends to people. Yeah, everyone's identical, so he's just obviously copied and pasted it. He can't even be bothered to give them a decent reply. It's all wrong. It's all wrong. We've got to do something about it. And if you live here, right, you'd be right to be concerned about what might become of this space here. And if you live anywhere else in Surrey Heath, let me flip the camera around. So if you live on the Heatherside, for instance, right, this looks like Wellingtonia Avenue, doesn't it? You could put a lovely, very, very long row of terraces down Wellingtonia Avenue, or you could dig up part of the Heatherside recreation ground and build some nice houses there. Do you think it's going to stop here? Think again. What they're doing now with this, and what they're doing with Deepcut Car Park and the other place I can't remember, they're testing the market. That's what they're doing, and they're going to sell it all off, because our car park in Deach, it's probably only worth it. But somebody said to me that you know, who's involved in property, said that, you know, a rough guesstimate, they'll get about 250 grand for that car park if they're lucky, right? Well, let's say they get 250 grand. Well, what they're saying, and what their leader was saying on the radio this morning, that's a drop in the ocean. 250 grand, a drop in the ocean. You know, so I just want to wake residents up to what's going on. Okay, you need to start paying more attention to what goes on at your council. I try my best to explain things. There's one or two other councillors. Trevor Ogg's another one who does a great job of that. But there aren't many of us. When you consider there are 35 councillors at Surrey Heath Borough Council, and there are 6 Surrey Heath County councillors. So what's that? 41 councillors. How many of us try our best to explain what's going on? Like I say, me and Trevor do our best, okay, and there might even be 1 or 2 others that do, but you know, you can count on one hand how many of us do that and still have spare fingers. You know, okay, fine. Well, if you're not into social media, that's fine. Residents need to take responsibility. I'm sorry to be lecturing you, but you need to take responsibility and figure out what's going on at your council. Go on the website, pull down the agenda papers for committee meetings and these obscure committees, working groups. Read the minutes, read the agendas, read the reports. And if you can't be asked to do that, then, or you haven't got the time to do that, run it through ChatGPT and ask it to summarise it for you. And then you get a rough idea of what's going on, okay? I'm sorry for this very long, ranty email, but there are other solutions available to us, and it's not very creative thinking, to my mind, to try and just sell off this place, this beautiful recreation space, to make a quick buck. Sorry, that's not acceptable, and we're cleverer than that.